From Salvation Day by Callie Wallace. I knew what it felt like to turn toward the stars because it was easier to gaze into unknowable darkness than to look at the painful wreckage of the life that surrounds you. I knew what it meant to take the knot of hopes and hurts and fears from inside and hurl it into deep space, across voids and galaxies, through dust and light. This is Gothic. The Gothic Podcast is a horror and humor actual play audio drama. As such, it contains material, including our jokes, that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Hey there, Sojourners, and welcome to the dark. We once again join our characters in space, one set on the planet of Tricae, there where multiple layers of the planet overlap one another in great bands of stone and landscape. Another set are on board the salvage vessel Pescado Malo, having traveled through space but stopped to pick up a cryo chamber in a place where they shouldn't have been. And three other characters, embroiled in their own plots, on board the space station called Wednesday. And that's where we're going to take up this evening. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
And hello.
So, it's Wednesday Station. When last we were on Wednesday Station, it's been a couple of episodes. Our focus characters, as we noted before we started recording, the saviors of the universe, perhaps being two old women and a kid, Maisie, Jules, and Axel. And Axel has gotten himself into a bit of a tight bind.
Looks like that Axel boy got himself in a heap of trouble.
Wonder how he's going to get out of this one. Axel finds himself in the central east passageways, the dark passageways, so named because the electrical systems there are spotty at best. Passageways in one of the great central spokes that goes out from the massive central domed section of Wednesday Station out to one of the four rings that are continually spinning. All the sections, of course, except for the easternmost ring, which hasn't been spinning for quite some time. It is laboratories and old rooms from before the decommissioning of Wednesday Station as a science station and becoming more of a way station for travelers. And down those corridors, the kids like to play, and yet another of Wednesday Station's children has gone missing. Aaron. Axel has gone down to those sections to look for his missing friend, and others may be headed that way. So let's pick up on Wednesday Station. Axel, having just found the handprint that led him into a maintenance shaft running parallel to the primary spoke that goes out to the east ring. There is the sound of sparking electrical wiring. There's the hiss of steam in these passages, even though they are not fully operational. But the lights are dim at best. The maintenance shaft is dark and shadowed. Even the sparking of the lights or the electrical systems is little more than creating a sporadic strobing. Axel, you have found another smear of blood on the wall. What are you doing?
Axel is totally following the smear, just tracing this as far as he feels safe in going.
Well, how far do you think that's going to be?
Axel's actually a pretty brave kid, so he's going to keep going.
Okay. Axel begins to move away from the entrance to the maintenance shaft, moving further into the dark. But even Axel, child-sized as he is, has to duck a bit here in this tunnel. This is not a large space. And as he goes forward, roll for me, if you would, an observation check.
Observation. What happens if I have to roll more dice than I have in my hands?
How is that even possible?
What?
Okay.
No, it's not the case, but I was just wondering, looking at a couple of stats.
I would say that you would roll and then roll some more.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just I could only afford...
so much.
No,
the Gothic Podcast could only
And
afford to send you so many dice. So
that would be...
go buy more if you need them.
That would be 4 successes.
Dang.
Wow.
Nice.
Did I have any stress, actually?
That's another thing we should keep track of on our character sheets.
Seems too stressful.
And ones don't count if I'm not using stress die?
Right. Ones don't count if you're not using stress die.
Right.
I'm sending you a secret message, Jesse.
Okay.
Oh, secret message. Secret message.
Secret
message.
Agent Man.
Man, secret agent man. This is not the musical episode, guys.
Hey guys, guess who I am? It's not the musical episode.
Oh, wait, what am I, from Minnesota now?
Oh, don't you know, it's not the musical
Where's the
episode.
Muth here? This is the musical Muth episode. Hello. Hey-o.
Wow, who invited Bullwinkle on the podcast? Amazing.
Okay, so if I'm reading this right, I succeeded, plus I got 3 ones over, so I can choose 3 of those questions.
Because this is actually an opposed roll, you may not have succeeded as much.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, call that 2 over.
Ooh. Are more of them close by?
What you see, Axel, as you are following these are, you pass by openings in the maintenance shaft. These go to either the main corridor, where you originally came from, or they even go deeper into the shaft itself, or really closer to the outer hull of the shaft, down as things might be. And it's out of one of those, a dark space, that you see 2 red eyes looking out at you. And it is only because you are so acclimatized to being down here, able to almost see in the dark, that you recognize this as infrared goggles, even as a figure in black hazmat suit looking stuff, but not really hazmat. You've seen hazmat armor or hazmat gear, but this is more like armor. It's all black. It's got big plates on it. The joints look like they're heavily, not rubberized, but that they're covered in some sort of metallic-y looking flexible material. And the helmet is also black and mirrored, but the goggles themselves look eerie and a little scary, just coming at you down the shaft. And this person, which is what it is, can't stand up in this access shaft or the access shafts, and is like crawling forward like super fast. And he like lunges toward you and tries to grab you, but you are not surprised by this, because as you were walking by, you saw that glint of red, and then you immediately turned and spotted it. So let's deal some initiative cards here.
Okay. And I just say draw. Okay. Wow, 1.
So yeah, you get to act first.
Okay. Well, then I'm just going to like back up like a totally startled and just be like, who are you? What can I help you with?
What can I help you with? Axel's so pure. Oh my god.
Mostly just backing up right now and trying to persuade to talk to me.
Go ahead, and then in that case, roll your manipulation.
Ooh.
Nice.
Okay. 1 success.
He comes forward. He stops a few feet back, a meter or so back in the tunnel, and all you see are the glow of the infrared goggles. And a voice comes out of a speaker, and he says, "You can help me." No, wait. Sorry.
I am your father.
Oh, dear God. Don't go there.
You are in unauthorized space. What are you doing here?
Some of my friends have gone missing, and I've followed some blood trails down here. Do you know what's going on?
He comes closer. He comes out of the tunnel and can't stand up, but kind of is hunched, sort of almost back on his haunches a little bit. And it looks like it's really pretty comfortable for him, or maybe not comfortable, but he's used to it. He's built pretty big. You can see the layers of that armor now. Strange stuff. And the helmet is completely mirror-fronted, so it's all black. But the infrared goggles are set into the glass of the front so that it creates sort of an insectoid-like appearance. You also see that on his hip, on one side, is a very large pistol of some sort, but with a magazine on it that is bulkier than any you've seen before. On his back is another weapon, but it looks for all the world like a blunderbuss, but pretty high tech.
A laser blunderbuss.
He there, sitting on his haunches, turns his head one way, just slightly turns it the other, as if the eyes are examining you, and he says,
You found blood? Where?
Right over here. And I direct him to where I'd seen the trails of blood and the handprint and everything.
He looks at those. Then he looks at you.
All right, kid. Get out of here.
But what about the errands, sir? I'm really concerned.
He looks at you again. For a long time.
Your friend's probably dead.
Why? What's going on?
I want to break away from Axel and this strange insectoid fellow for a moment. Maisie.
Yes?
Who are you talking to?
Oh, myself, dearie.
The voices in your head. What are you doing?
Well, after I finished eating at the refectory, which I think was the last thing I was doing, I would have left, and on the way out, just like very kind of sneakily, as I shuffled my way across the floor, scavenged anything that looked like I might keep for a couple days off of other people's tables, and gone out scavenging. I think that Maisie's very interested in these corridors that are not used, and the lit ones are fairly picked over.
Before you get that far, you may see something. Jules, are you being stealthy as you head off to investigate what it is that you have seen on your screens?
Jules will be stealthy in her own way. It's less sneaking around and more of a cat burglar sense, and more of the fact that she is just good at going quietly unnoticed when she wants to be. So she just kind of zips around and pads from place to place. She's going to be unnoticed as much as possible.
Well, Maisie's got a bullshit meter a mile wide, so I think I would probably notice that.
This is an opposed roll. It is mobility for Jules versus observation for Maisie.
Oh, 4 6s.
I thought I was doing pretty good to roll 1 there. But...
Maisie, as you go out with the thought of perhaps going down into the old section of the station where people aren't really supposed to be living or, going to very much, but where that in the East Ring there are all these old labs and that there's plenty of good finds out there to be had for someone willing to put in a little bit of elbow grease to make it happen. But then you spot Jules. Jules is just sort of moving through the crowd like Jules does, but strangely, not the direction Jules normally goes after work, but rather in the same direction you were headed.
Well,
Axel went off in a hurry after speaking to Jules, and now Jules is running off in a hurry, and I don't have anything better to do. I'll go follow her.
So you indicated the last time we encountered Maisie that she moves along at an elderly pace.
Oh, when it's convenient. It's extremely, extremely convenient when you're trying to, for example, pick someone's pocket to have convenient trouble going up the stairs so that they come over and assist you. As a random, non-specific example.
Jules, you're headed toward the dark passages, as the kids call them. Do you have any gear with you, or was that a stationary terminal that you were using?
That was stationary. I do have something with me, but for Maisie, who is watching, Jules is carrying a small basket. It's kind of a shallow basket. It has cloth wrapped over the top, like somebody might be carrying some baked goods or like little bread baskets. That's what you see that she has in her hand at the moment. There may or may not be other things in there. But the smell of freshly baked brownies waft from the top of the basket.
Maisie, with her big, awkward, somewhat tattered-looking carpet bag, knows exactly the kind of useful things you can carry in a convenient little old lady-looking basket.
Maisie, are you going to try to pursue Jules secretly, or are you going to actively go up and encounter?
No, I'm not looking for a confrontation here. I just want to see what all the fuss is about, in case there's something valuable that's been found down in the east hallways.
Then we get to go the other direction, and Jules gets to see if she notices you following her.
So now I'm doing mobility?
So now Maisie will do mobility, and Jules will do observation.
Whoa. Almost hit one
So
of those
many
across
dice.
the room.
I know,
this.
last time one went like way over there. I got a 1 success this time.
I got just 2, but
That's enough.
2 is all I
Yeah.
needed.
So Jules, you notice Maisie.
Jules is just going to do the obvious thing, like she meant to turn around and kind of notice Maisie. Like, hello!
Oh,
if it
dear,
isn't
fancy
my-
meeting you here.
Yes, it
Oh,
is my dear
my
friend,
good friend.
Maisie. I was just going to find some of the
I was
children.
just
They like to play down these hallways.
spontaneously
I have fresh
walking in
brownies.
this direction for no reason whatsoever.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course, I'm quite sure. Why don't you join me? I would love to just chat and find out what's going on in Maisie's world. I'm sure it's exhilarating.
Oh, not so much these days, dear.
And I'll take her elbow and lean on her and kind of shuffle in a way that I was not when I was trying to sneak and follow her.
I do know that the children love you, so come along, come
Oh,
along.
yes, the little darlings.
Yes. Someday when they're older, they'll grow some taste, but until then, brownies and Maisie you'll have to do for them.
Bless your heart.
I love the salty old ladies. Are you kidding me? I love the salty old ladies like talking to each other. Yes, please. Okay.
This week on the Golden Alien Girls.
As you walk, you are passing through the most populated sections of all of Wednesday Station. The North Ring is where all of the docking happens for visiting ships. It's where all of the public spaces are, the various restaurants and bars and commissaries and stores. It's where the more expensive of the rooms are, the ones that it's a little bit harder just to claim them without ever being kicked out of them by station security. And this is in part because being the North Ring, the south-facing windows have an excellent view down onto the top of the station, where the domes are for the various fields and arborariums and such, and also looks down even further onto the gas giant itself. And so it's got pretty good real estate here. You are passing through the most populated and active parts of the entire station. There are people in the hallways chatting, showing off goods to one another that they've just acquired, perhaps off station or on. Friends seeing one another for the first time in a few cycles. There are shops that some of which extend out into the corridor itself with displays and such, some that are in their own spaces. And it is through all of this activity that you talk as you walk.
I'm going to let Maisie decide at what point she picks up on this or when it becomes obvious. So although we're in the populated sections now, that's not where Jules is headed. Jules knows where she's going, but isn't necessarily making that obvious. Instead, she's just kind of meandering somewhere while she continues that banter. She's like, some of the children are so shy. I want to go make sure that they get some of these brownies. It's always the eager beavers, so to speak, who come get them first, and there are some who miss out, and I don't like that.
Yes, indeed. Children, of course, as you know, are opportunistic little darlings, and will come, first serve, as it were, such as their rules, and that's what they follow.
Oh, yes, they're so inventive. It's sometimes they even get into trouble. It's just better if
trouble.
It's just better if they have constructive ways to fill their time, like some wonderful brownies. You know how hard it is to find sugar these days.
That'll keep them occupied for about 3 seconds. I mean, yes, absolutely. Well, they sure seemed in a tizzy today in the refectory. Really excited about something. I don't know if you witnessed that.
Oh, I'm so busy while I'm in the kitchen. I barely have time to notice anything. So many comings and goings.
Oh, please, Jules. Don't pretend you don't notice everyone who walks into your refectory.
I mean, I see so many people over the course of a day. It's just, I can't help it that I'm popular and that people love to come and see me. As the old adage goes, the fastest way to someone's heart is through their stomach.
Yeah, certainly if you're stabbing them. So I've heard.
Oh, I think technically then it would be the back, but...
Oh, yes, actually.
Just things I've heard,
I bet you could fill a big book with everything that you hear in there.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Cookbooks are really more my speed.
Yes,
I leave the gossip
cauldrons,
to you.
Gingerbread cottages, right?
A cauldron? Oh, my goodness. That sounds so
really
devious.
heavy. Hard to get into orbit. It's probably why you don't see them anymore.
We just call them stock pots.
Oh, yes. I've heard of those.
You have now moved out of the primary crowds and are headed down the central north passage toward the core of the space station, the huge central bulk of the station that provides the power, that provides the steam, the water, the food, everything for the station. And it is quieter this way, although there is still plenty of activity, but these corridors are narrower, perhaps 15 feet wide, but crammed with open ductwork and piping and electrical conduits and such that are just exposed on the ceiling and the walls. And the people here are talking a little quieter just because that's just the nature of the spokes, because all the spokes are kind of spooky in a way. That they are all a little bit dimmer. They're spooky. They're a little bit dimmer. They are a little bit more industrial than the rings, which tend to be a little bit cleaner, a little bit more pristine utilitarian style, but lots more white surfaces. Here, there's more dust in the corners. There's more shadowy areas. There's more places that open into darker spaces. There's also the rumble of the machinery that is driven in the center of the main bulk of the space station that keeps the rings turning. And that vibration is here in the central spoke. Now, you also pass by and I mention this for no particular reason, you pass by the couplings, massive couplings, that are designed to be able to be blown if any of the experiments, for instance, happen to go wrong.
I'm sure nothing like that will happen.
Nothing like that has happened but they took that into account. And so you have these giant explosive rings that nobody really advertises, but that exist.
It'll be fine.
As you proceed down this corridor, you also see some of the pets of Wednesday Station. A couple of cats dart after one another from access tunnel to access tunnel. A woman walks by holding a genetically modified dog that is done in multiple colors.
Is it like the dog from the original Star Trek, the one with the unicorn horn? And it was like, look at this weird alien. And it's just like a Pomeranian with a unicorn horn?
It absolutely is now.
Yes. I love that thing.
And don't forget, it's hypoallergenic.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
If you order now, you get a free collar engraved with your pet's name.
With no down payment, no interest.
So let's return to Axel.
Okay.
As you are looking past this guy now, down toward the darker area where the bloodstains were sort of leading you, there's just a brief sparking of electrical connectors down there, a frying of wires, a shower of sparks. And in that moment, you see something just as black, just as mirrored, just as alien looking as this fellow, except what you see is not human.
Oh.
Roll on the panic table.
Oh,
Okay.
no. Oh, dear.
It's going down.
I'm yelling timber.
1d6 plus the stress, isn't it?
Yeah, D6 plus stress.
It's a d6 plus stress.
I think I know what you're saying.
And then send me that secretly. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Hold on just a second. So what do you do based on what I have just told you?
We should get out of here right away, mister. Come, I know the way out. And I try to lead him.
Are you sure this is your Cockney accent?
No, I'm horrible at that. I mix up the English accents all the time.
Just so start
It's
in your
hard for us
head.
Right.
Always start with right, governor.
Oi,
Oi!
oi.
In it.
I think we should get out of here right away. I think it's coming for us. And start, leading out and trying to persuade.
Now, what you saw there was a motion. You saw that, and you saw it just in that glimpse of electrical flashing. It was moving, but you're not sure what direction it was moving. Was it moving toward you? Was it going across the hall? Was it going away? It was just so unexpected to see this thing that you are trying to... Are you tugging at his arm or anything?
Yeah. I would, grab his coat sleeve and, start trying to lead down the corridor away.
What do you mean, kid?
Really, sir? We must be going. And I start to, walk away, if he's not gonna, lean into my poles.
He looks around. He turns his head and looks down the corridor. Now that there's no light down there, he's probably still able to see whatever's down there with the goggles. But he doesn't tense up or anything. Instead, he turns back to you and goes,
What'd you see, kid?
and there's something a little darker in his voice.
You've seen it before then, too.
Oh.
And I turn and start walking down the corridor.
I told you to get out of here.
And then he lunges for you to grab you.
Okay, I will take my dodge action, just slipping out of his grasp and just moving away.
Well, if he was rolling stress die, he would have been screwed. No successes as he attempts to grab you.
Okay, and I roll an opposing mobility.
He didn't roll any successes, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. 2 successes.
So you slip out of his grasp. I'm just putting in 2 initiative cards for no reason whatsoever.
There's no possible reason for this.
Okay, you slip out of his grasp. What are you going to do?
Retreat. I will take a fast action. I will take a second fast action to retreat and move away.
So you're running away.
Run away!
Run away! Run away!
He unlimbers that blunderbuss-looking thing you see as you glance over your shoulder. His red eye lights glaring at you as he crouches down, the blunderbuss braced against his shoulder, pointed straight at you. He's backlit by sparking lights and flickering fluorescence. You see him pull the trigger and fire, there's a sound, a kathump, as of compressed air being expelled. And then something is coming fast at you down the corridor. And what he has fired is a weighted net that wraps around you.
Called it.
And trips you up. And then it starts binding in on itself, compressing, tightening up. And even as that drops you to the ground, you see that behind him, something looms. And then it attacks.
Oh, dear.
Not that one. We could have played Mothership, but no, I wanted to buy the Alien RPG. This is interesting. Didn't expect that to happen. The creature, you see it rise up behind the insectoid man, and then you see it tear itself apart, and greenish blood sprays all over the man who just fired a net at you. And there is a sizzling, burning sound and a smell of melting plastics and burning steel. And the guy turns, or he tries to turn, but this thing just sort of falls on him. And it's just like writhing around. There's a tail, there's a claw, there's a head that's like torpedoes. There's just all of this stuff happening, and it's happening so fast. And in that strobing light down the corridor, I need you to make another panic roll.
Yeah. I'll say.
And send me the results.
Okay.
You are just struggling inside of your net now, quite grappled by this thing. It's pretty good steel cabling. This thing is not designed to capture the dogs or cats that roam around the station. This thing is designed for bigger prey. And you suspect you might know what that prey is, but it's definitely also caught you in its tangles. But even as you're struggling in that, down the corridor is this screeching, this hissing screech of this thing dying as it continues to tear at itself with its claws, with its tail. Just a lashing around of parts and motion. What do you do?
I almost go into that 1,000-yard stare, just like looking, intending to look away, but just watching. And I will pull my knife as best I can, try to wedge around a corner of this webbing to see if I can work myself out.
As you're doing that, you also hear some voices outside in the corridor coming toward you. Sounds like two old women kind of bickering at one another as they come.
What a weird juxtaposition. Can you imagine?
Run!
I mean, I understand you don't understand the intricacies
Wait.
of
Jules.
the chemistry of sugar.
Jules,
because,
for once in your life,
don't know anything
shut
about
your
anything
mouth and
sweet
listen
at all,
to what's
do you?
happening.
Run!
Oh dear. Well, that does sound rather urgent. We should check on that, don't you think?
Oh, indeed, my dear.
Axel, this thing is compressing in on you. So the knife isn't going to be able to cut through the steel webbing of this net.
Oh, bollocks!
Is that cockney enough for you, Patrick?
I asked for it, I suppose.
It totally did, sir. I'll say that right now.
Oh, so much editing. Okay, fine.
Okay. Oh, shit. It's not doing anything.
Unless you have some weird, vibro knife or laser knife or something, it's not going to cut through, steel mesh.
Nope, it's just a regular knife. I have nothing else.
You also take 1 point of damage. Maisie?
Yes.
And Jules, by the sound of the voice yelling run, you can hone in on the access panel closest to where the voice is coming from. That panel is closed. Now, the way those work is usually, it's going to be one of three things. It's going to be open, which this one isn't. There's going to be a handprint lock, or there's going to be 4 bolts that have to be removed in order to access the panel. This one is the latter. 4 bolts.
Okay. How do the bolts work? Are they like deadbolts or locked in? Can you remember them what do they look like?
The bolts are a little rusted, but they are pretty large and exposed.
Okay.
They're outset, not inset.
So we should be able to do something to them.
So we have to get some bolts out of the way here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Jules, what are you waiting for?
Oh, goodness. Maybe an observation roll to see if we could find anything to help us with these bolts, or...
Let me move away from you for a second.
Okay.
Axel, there is an access panel right next to you. It appears to be one of those types that's bolted from the other side, not easily gone through, but you hear the voices just outside of that. Do you do anything?
Well, yeah.
Whether imagination or reality, you feel you hear scurrying, clicking, scratching sounds further down the access tunnel you're in toward the ringward side, the direction where the thing has now stopped screeching and mostly stopped thrashing, although it still twitches. Underneath it is the figure in black, and they have not stopped screaming, but much of that is muffled by their armor because the external speakers on the armor seem to have been fried. From what you can see, it appears that he's still melting.
Gross.
Jesus. This is great. Does it have screw types on it?
Not on your side. You know that they would be on the outside where the voices are, which you really can identify as Maisie and Jules.
Okay.
Although why they would be here, you have no idea.
Right? Freaks? No.
Oh, dear, you have no idea.
Jules.
I think that door is addressing you.
Oh,
Maisie, Jules, right here. Open it up, please. I need to get out.
yes, open the door if you can, sweetie.
He's asking us to open the door.
The great.
He says we're great.
Yes. I have a grater back in the kitchen.
And I start slamming into it. A couple of punches at first, and then if I need to start kicking at it.
Yeah, your feet are really in a position better served to do that. So kick away.
Nothing. No successes, no losses.
Could we try to find something to start to pry or press the bolts out?
Yeah, so Jules was wanting to do that too. Go ahead, Jules, and go ahead and roll that observation.
All right. Ooh, look at all those. 3 successes.
Nice.
Cheapers.
Jules is going to show you up, Maisie.
So, yeah, you're not going to find a wrench, but you do find something. What do you find?
It's not a wrench exactly, but there is a piece of jagged metal that's been broken off, half rusted. But the way it broke, there's enough of a corner. Jules thinks she might be able to get that in there and pry with it a little bit as though it were a wrench. See if it might work. Give just enough leverage to get it loose.
It's going to take both of you because it's so awkward. You're going to have to work together.
Oh, goodness gracious.
You say that about everything.
This gets worse and worse.
Terrible. Just terrible. I'll take this end here.
Between the two of you, you start getting the bolts to loosen. Meanwhile, Axel, take another point of damage as the net continues squeezing.
Sometime today might be helpful.
Well, if you don't like it, Axel, you can get out here and free yourself.
Another bolt comes undone. Axel, it may be possible, whereas brute strength and the knife hasn't worked, you might be able to somehow wriggle out of this net. Would you like to try to use agility?
Straight agility?
Mobility makes sense.
2 successes.
It's tough because it's squeezing in on you, but as it squeezes, you realize that the pressure is actually coming from one side more than the other. At the cost of another point of damage, you are able to kind of push yourself out of it as if you were sausage innards being squeezed out of the casing of the sausage.
Oh, dear Lord. Like a hot dog in the microwave?
He kind of like that,
Okay, I guess I'm taking that extra damage then. Ow. All right, that's rough. Okay, and I come flopping through.
You're able to squeeze and wriggle and be squished out by the netting itself, out of that web work as it continues to tie in on itself mechanically. But you do get out. Wounds, bleeding everywhere, scrapes, and torn clothing and skin.
But that means I'm in the middle of the... Oh, jeez.
Service thing, yeah.
Yeah, you're still in the access tunnel. Even as you hear the last bolt come free on the access panel that is right by you, and it falls away with a clang. I'm assuming that the little old ladies aren't going to try to catch a big, heavy access panel.
Oh, goodness, no.
Is the web between me and the panel, though?
No, now the web is doing its own writhing on the floor of the access tunnel.
As soon as that comes free, I'm getting through.
You fall through the hatchway and out into the main corridor. And you flop heavily to the floor of that corridor, and you stare up at Maisie and Jules.
Well, hello, Axel. Would you care for a brownie?
Axel, you little weasel. What have you got up to this time?
Both of you, please roll observation.
They
One.
went
I like that was
everywhere.
one,
I
think.
also got a 1.
You both hear a screaming, low, but definitely a screaming from inside the access tunnel, past the hatch that you have just opened. Also a sizzling and the smell of burned flesh, cooking flesh.
What? What in the black speckly sky is that?
Jules takes a good sniff and she's like, oh dear. I think maybe it's best if we move along. Come on, Axel. Let's head back down to
Anywhere,
the station.
anywhere
Yes,
other
let's
than
go.
right here.
With haste.
There's danger
Maisie,
here. Is
you're
there any
a
way we
rear
can
guard.
seal this off?
Do you want to put 4 bolts back in here? Actually, you're young and strong. You could hold it up while we put the 4 bolts.
Do you have a wrench?
You were able to get the things loose and you bashed on them to knock the rust off, and then you were able to twist them using the awkward edges of this thing. But the best you could do is you could put them back up there and maybe kind of like hand tighten the bolts on, but it's not going to be like really super sturdy or anything.
I think we need to call the security. There's a larger problem there that we can not deal with ourselves.
As you're helping Axel up, you notice that his clothes are just shredded and his skin is also broken in several places, torn.
Or you born in a barn? Didn't your parents teach you not to play in access tunnels?
I start dusting him off aggressively.
As you're dusting him off, your hand comes away wet. You hold it up, realizing that it's probably blood, but as you hold it up to your face, you see that blood is white. And everybody takes a stress point
No.
for realizing that they're in the presence of an android.
Does the android take a stress point?
No.
I don't think Maisie makes a noise. I think she just stares at him suspiciously.
We will cut away at that point to Tricae, Planet of Doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
Our expeditionary scientific force has brought down a few of the strange alien mushroom frond creatures with their claws and their bitey proboscis, and captured one of them alive. The others seem to have swarmed away from the group, leaving just the scientists and a few Marines, where 2 of the remaining Marines are quite injured, one having been kneecapped by one of these creatures, and the other one being plowed into the groin by one of them in a headbutt charge of sorts. What's happening here in this bloody battleground on planet Tricae?
Ray wants to go medically aid Markham with his kneecap situation.
You move over to Markham and begin working on stabilizing his knees. He's not going to be able to walk for a while.
Oh, that's okay. That's why I lift, man. I'll carry you.
can't you just, like, shoot me up with something and like, yeah, give me some morphine or some, I don't know, some good drugs or something?
Okay, so Markham, here's the thing. I could give you a dose of pain relief, and I probably will, but that doesn't mean you should be walking on this knee. So you're still going to be carried.
Can't you shoot me up with the painkillers and then knock me out? I don't want to be carried like some...
I mean, if I knock you out, you'll just be carried and you'll be, like, limply hanging from my arms. So if that's better for you, then I could do that. But I think you'd prefer to be awake, man.
Damn it, whatever you gotta do, man. Whatever you gotta do.
Yeah, sure, I'll give him, I have several doses of Napraleave. Yeah, I'll give him the painkiller, but yeah, he's not, I'm not gonna let him walk out of there.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, you don't have to make this weird if I don't.
Dr. Laura, what are you doing?
Is there some kind of, think of like just a flatbed cart to call from the ship to bring out to this location to collect people and or specimens?
You could call for a shuttle.
I will call for a shuttle using my contact devices.
I mean, it's, pricey gas-wise, but there is a shuttle back at the camp, and it's also something you'd want to clear with the lead scientist.
And Dr. Wick is here with us, right?
Right.
Okay. Dr. Wick, would it be conducive to bring a shuttle to this location to collect up our friends as well as some specimens?
Yes, I don't see how we can get these specimens back before they start decaying. The one that is alive still, we might be able to, but it will struggle on the way back too. We need the proper gear. We didn't bring anything for this sort of... I was expecting worms.
We can order a specific med kit to be sent with the shuttle as well as container jars for the specimens.
Well, think of it this way, Docs. There's life on this planet, and I mean not like microorganisms, like interesting, big things that collect in groups.
Ray. While very interesting, I must say that it also poses a more serious threat to us.
Dr. Wick starts to put his hand out to put his hand on Dr. Laura's shoulder, and then he pulls back at the last moment, remembering that he doesn't like to touch people.
It's not out of professional courtesy. It's just that his own personal ick factor.
Oh God, I'm touching someone.
Oh, gross.
Ew.
And he says, Dr. Angels, I did not think that I would ever say these words, but the Marine is right. This is unprecedented. This is extraordinarily good. We need these specimens. We need them. We need them badly. And we need them in good shape. So, yes, you, and he looks at and then points at Wild Bill, summon the shuttle from the camp.
I cast Summon Shuttle.
Level 3.
That means I get one extra shuttle for each level above the first.
Yeah, okay, man. Yeah, Doc, okay, I'll get right on that. At which point, Wild Bill pulls out a little transmitter of some sort. It's like, Command, this is Expeditionary Force. We ran into some hostiles. We're going to need transport. We have casualties.
Oh, whoa, but, they don't need to bring any weapons or big anything like that. I mean, hostile sounds like we haven't handled the situation, which we definitely have.
Weapons. Weapons are good. Bring weapons.
No, what, Doc, what are you talking about? We got it
Dr.
handled.
Laura Angels is still holding her, pistol, freaking Charlie's Angel style, is just holding that thing, looking around and making sure that none of those things are coming flying at us again.
Hey, Laura, that's great.
Elaborate.
Yeah, what was that command? And he's smacking on the transmitter, trying to get it to work better. Is that an affirmative on the transport command?
Give me a comm-tech.
Yeah. So I have 3 dice on that, and here's my roll.
Oh wow, nice. Good job.
That's pretty stellar, right there.
That is a really good roll.
All right, so you get to slightly higher ground, and you make some adjustments to the transmitter, And then it becomes slightly clearer. Yeah, Expeditionary Force, we're receiving a lot of interference. Come again?
Yeah, we had some interference ourselves, encountered hostiles. We need transport. We have wounded.
Okay. The shuttle will be released. Expect to pick up in 10.
Yeah, that's affirmative. Command will be ready to bug out. Actually, bug out to bad. Never mind. Expeditionary Force out.
Base camp out.
All right, man. Wild Bill head to the back of the others. Okay, man. They're sending a shuttle, I think, man. So everybody, hang tight, and we'll be out of here in no time.
Dr. Laura still just kind of looking into the sky.
How long do they say they would be?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain they said 10 minutes, but comms are a little fuzzy right now.
And yes, indeed. It's more like 15 or 20. Does anybody tend to Denver in this time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't have any more painkiller, but I'll hold his hand and help him ride it out.
Hey, take my kit.
Well, give me some painkiller. This has got my groin right here. I'm not going to have kids no more or nothing.
Hey, bro.
Ray.
Yeah.
Will you please take my kit? It might help him. I will keep an eye to the sky.
Yeah, you're doing a real good job, Dr. Laura. But remember what we talked about, trigger discipline. Make sure your finger's not on that. Does your med kit have painkiller in it? Because
it's just a regular personal med kit, so it's not too extensive, but it might help.
I have a personal med kit too, but the painkillers are a separate item from that.
They are.
You're able to apply some cold compresses.
Okay, cool.
Snap the bags open, and then there's ones that become hotter. There's ones that become colder, and so you have Denver apply this, examining the injured area. He's not going to be walking very much for a while either. So calling in the shuttle's probably a pretty good idea.
Oh, cool. Do we have stress right now?
Yes.
Everybody has at least one from the encounter with the alien flyers.
My medic talent is Calming Presence. Once per turn, I can reduce the stress level of another character within short range by 1. We just have to be in a relatively safe place, which I feel like we are. Oh, it doesn't work on me, though, but everyone else can detract a stress. I figure is kind of what Ray's been doing with his little comments and, reminding Laura to think about her trigger discipline and, getting people's minds off of the fern things and stuff like that. So that's where I was kind of headed with those comments. But
you're getting everybody calmed down by just being calm and getting everything sorted.
Yeah, we should bring an artist out here next time and see if we can get them to paint a picture of one of those. Did you see the way the light shone through their fronds or whatever when they were wheeling in the air? If we could get them in a peaceful mood, there could be some really cool sunset images or paintings or something.
I mean, what kind of painting are you talking about, man? Like a watercolor or just some sketches? Because I don't know. I kind of see watercolors, but I'm no artist, man. I'm just
I don't know. I think oils might be a little long. I think they take a really long time. Didn't they say Da Vinci carried around Mona Lisa for I don't know, 10 years or whatever? Not 10 years.
I don't know. They don't teach Da Vinci and Mona Lisa at the academy, but man, I don't know. Is that the dude that made the fuzzy swirly things? I like those.
Oh, that dude could do some really cool fuzzy swirly things here. What if he was here right now painting fuzzy swirly things of these green things?
I mean, that'd be kind of cool, but is the guy with the stars,
the star guy.
Yeah. That guy was cool. I like that guy.
Laura's just shaking her head.
Oh, come on, Laura. Don't tell me you're not into impressionism.
There's a guy in my last platoon. He did some great impressions. A bunch of comedians, a bunch of movie stars.
Okay, but did he do Kermit the Frog? Because that's the only one I care about.
I don't know if he did any frog voices, but he did a lot of impressions. He's pretty good at it. I like that guy.
In the time that it takes for the shuttle to arrive, you are able to kind of relieve the general level of tension around. And so, Wild Bill and Dr. Laura, you can remove 1 stress die from your stress pool.
If anybody had more than 1 stress, Wild Bill's banter trait allows that to increase to 2 stress can be relieved.
Oh, well, that'll work for me because I can't relieve stress on myself. So I would appreciate.
And you were not very communicative with Dr. Laura. You were bantering with my friend Ray.
There is a glint of light first as sunlight reflects off of the hull of the shuttle, and then there is the great whoosh as the shuttle comes in for a landing, not right where you are, but a little ways away. A cloud of reddish dust kicked up underneath it. The landing struts down, compressing some as the weight of the rest of the ship settles down upon them. And then at the back, a ramp drops down, and a couple more Marines come out and come over. Their uniforms identify them as Crisp and Feather.
Crisp and Feather.
Do they have ranking marcations?
Both are ensigns. There'd be a lieutenant piloting, probably. Yeah, Ensign Crisp here. You all order a shuttle? Need a ride?
You know it. Only if we get the convertible top down.
Hey! Oh, man, what happened here? Holy...
Yo, dudes.
Registers the creatures.
We found life.
Yeah, it's a bit messed up, but as you can see, Markham over here, he took kind of the worst of it. In Denver, he's in bad shape, man. So, let's just get him out of here.
We need some containers.
Oh, yeah, man. Sure enough. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll help with these guys. Then we'll come back and we'll help with these other things.
All right, well, we'll load them up.
Cool. I'll lift Mark.
Dr. Laura's staying with the creatures until we get the right containment units for them.
If by right containment units you mean webbing to hold them into the cargo area, then sure.
Glass containers, metal crates, anything will work.
Yeah, Doc, I'm sure we could find something.
Just bring it out so we can get to work.
Yeah, we're just going to have to haul them on board. I was kind of just, I don't know, I was just kind of hoping you'd let that ride, because we got some webbing we can tie them up in, and, there might be a crate. We'd have to dump out the weapons, though. I don't think the LT is going to like that too much.
Dr. Laura throws up her hands and is just like, dear Lord, do I have to do everything around here? And I just grab one of the creatures and start dragging it towards the shuttle.
The Marine watches you for a little bit and then turns to nobody in particular and says, well, I was going to help carry it in.
Wild Bill just gives the big shoulder shrug, shakes his head like, I don't know, man.
And loading up onto the shuttle.
Yep.
So is this heading back to the Wapiti?
The Wapiti's in orbit, right? We'd be going back to whatever kind of base.
The base, okay.
The shuttle would be came from the camp, your base camp, and presumably would go back there. It will take a lot of fuel to go to the Wapiti, and that would have to be cleared by the commander of the Marines, plus
Jin,
the doc here.
Commander Jin, right?
Yes, Jin Kaja. So you get loaded, such
We're
as it
so
is,
loaded, man.
onto the shuttle. The wounded are placed in some of the sleeping cots that are in the rough residential portion of the shuttle. It's a pretty large shuttle and was able to carry down a great deal of equipment initially, but most of that equipment being now back at the base. And then they get the bodies of the creatures settled in. I believe there's probably 3 of them. One of them is alive, and the alive one is causing them all sorts of problems. For one, it doesn't look like it wants to stay alive because it's bleeding pretty good, but also because it doesn't seem to want to be captured either. Anyway, they get it secured with some ropes and such, and they get the others done up in webbing that is then tied down to various parts in the cargo area of the shuttle. And then the LT up in the pilot's chair clears everything, and you begin to take off. It is at that point that the live mushroom wing creature seems to go just quite mad.
Ooh.
And it thrashes around crazily, snapping its bonds even until it is loose in the back. And then there are Marines yelling. The two injured ones, Markham and Denver, are like, well, Denver is yelling his head off because Markham's still out, quite out from the medications.
Kill it!
And so, what do you do?
Right. Sounds like we've flipped for initiative.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ray, as usual, is going to react first. That medical training taking over.
What I would like to do is take either something like a tarp or maybe my uniform jacket and throw it over this thing and try and catch it underneath something, or maybe a blanket, an emergency shock blanket, anything that's a little bit heavy and fairly big, and throw it over this thing and just trap it under something.
So you'll need to do a close combat, and then if you get a stunt, you'll be able to
I
grapple
see.
it.
Oh, okay. Close combat. I'm so great at that. I got 1 success.
You aren't able to get it wound up in the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
You throw the sheet over it and give it a try, but it's still thrashing around under it. You haven't got it tied down or anything. I'm not going to give it any damage because you're not using anything there that's going to be really damaging.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to damage it. I'm trying to trap it again.
So then it's going to be Dr. Laura.
Ooh. I almost imagine that Dr. Laura had not put her sidearm away. My father always taught me to be sure to breathe out before you pull the trigger.
So that would be aiming, plus 2 dice, but it is a fast action.
Okay. What's the range?
It's going to be short.
1 success.
It does still have its natural armor, so 1 success. The shot goes wild, and there's a... What kind of weapon is this?
This is just the service pistol, the M4A3. 1 damage.
So there's a bit of ricocheting happens around the cabin, and the Marines start yelling about not shooting at them.
Right. The hole.
Well, Bill, what do you do?
The shooting thing doesn't seem to work so well. I mean, if we hit, maybe it worked really well, but the bounce around thing seems to be very bad. So Wild Bill doesn't like that at all. The grapples thing seems to work a little better. So Wild Bill is also going to try to, I don't know if leap is the right word, but he's definitely going to kind of reach out and grab this thing and see if he can't pull it back down to the floor of the shuttle that we're in. 2 successes.
You feel it underneath you, Wild Bill. You feel it struggling, and you just leaped on it, and you were trying to pin it down, but it's writhing around under you. But then it stops. You're just sort of laying on top of it, and it's covered by one of those rough woolen things that the Marines claim is warm and isn't. And Ray is kind of there trying to still get it wrapped around the creature, but it stops jerking for a moment, and then you, Wild Bill, hear kind of a grumbling. Then there is a popping, shredding sound as the cover rips open from underneath, along with apparently much of the stomach of this mushroom winged thing that no longer has wings. And something small and kind of mushroom headed, but with lots of teeth, bursts out from the cover right in front of you, right in front of your face, Wild Bill. And it stares at you for a second with an eyeless, flattened torpedo mushroom head, opens its mouth with a lot of different teeth in it, and then scuttles off deeper into the shuttle toward the pilot's cabin of the shuttle. And there's people yelling and screaming, and everybody takes, unless you're an android, take a level of stress.
I don't know if there's any possible way that I could grab like a glass jar container and just try and slide it over that thing before it escapes.
You know, you can't at the moment because we're going to find out what
Next
happens
time.
next time
On the Gothic Podcast.
The Gothic
Of course,
Podcast.
it's always next time. Oh, Patrick, it's always next time. Why?
Da, 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 da. Doodle, doodle, doodle. Oh, man. Oh, crikey.
The Gothic Podcast is a humor and horror actual play podcast produced by C. Patrick Neagle, starring C. Patrick Neagle, Sharon Gollery-LaFournese, Jesse Baldwin, and Richard Southard. Season 3 of the Gothic Podcast uses rules from the Alien RPG, produced by Free League Publishing, and Monster of the Week, written by Michael Sands and published by Evil Hat Productions. Theme music is by Zoe Hovland, and original artwork by Jared George Art. If you enjoy the Gothic Podcast, please like, rate, and review us on iTunes. Visit our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram feeds, and check out our Patreon page. Thanks.
Maisie, Jules, and Alex, respectively.
Isn't it Axel?
Axel?
Dag frickin' nabbit.
It's written right there on the screen. Come on.
I quit.
We're free. We're free, you
That
guys.
guy's been holding us back anyway. All right, let's go. We got this.
Think of LJ with his axe.
Oh,
Oh, I get it.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't get it before.